Hello and welcome back. We are back in George's kitchen. Here she is.
Hello.
With an incredible apron on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for kitting out, especially.
I'm a very messy cook, so it's quite necessary.
Well, we have everything out here and ready. If you do not have all your ingredients out in the right quantities, now would be the time to pause the video and just make sure you've got that all set up. I can also show you the pans that we've got out ready that you're going to need in case you have the same ones. That might be useful to know. And let's get started. Time to cook.
Excellent. So the very first thing we're going to do is toast the bread for the breadcrumbs. It's just the way that I have been kind of taught or told to do it. But I think it's not such a massive big deal if you can't toast. If you don't have a toaster, the raw bread, which sounds weird but is obviously a thing, the raw bread should be fine.
Yeah, fresh breadcrumbs I think you can whiz up almost just as well. They might be a bit more clumpy, but I'm not sure that matters too much in this recipe.
Yeah, it should be fine.
So we've got the bread in the toaster.
The bread is in the toaster over here. It's just toasting away in the background. We don't need to think about that just now. First up, we are going to, not everything can be first up.
Second up, third up, that would be a lot of ups by the end of the video.
Next up, we're going to drain our kidney beans. Mm-hmm. Now this is a thing that I think we all do instinctively by now, draining the kidney beans. I feel like as a child I was maybe told that kidney bean juice was poisonous somehow.
Absolutely, but I think it's just the fact that it froths up so much when you do it makes me think that can't be good and delicious to eat on its own, you know? But I think there are recipes where they just say, now chuck the beans in, sauce and all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure Jamie Oliver does that.
Oh. Well, Jamie Oliver, he plays hard and fast
Sure
with
does.
all kinds of cooking rules.
We talked about Jamie Oliver, or cooked Jamie Oliver in every video.
We cooked Jamie Oliver.
We did, we roasted him on. No, Taylor's recipe, the pilot recipe was a Jamie Oliver.
Yes.
And then we've mentioned him now.
Let's not talk about him anymore. He gets enough airtime.
He really does.
Actually, all of the recipes that my dish are kind of coming from, they're all by female cooks.
Very good.
Yeah.
No Jamie here. So we've rinsed the kidney beans and we've just popped them in a bowl there.
Popped them in the dark over here.
Yeah, it is a bit dark.
Is it too dark? Shall I
cozy.
Move them over here? And then we're going to mash the kidney beans. I have this great masher, which I like a lot.
Looks like a heat conductor thing.
It does a little bit. But yeah, a potato masher is ideal. If you don't have one, you could use a massive fork or a small fork, where it will
The likelihood of you having
take
a massive
longer.
fork instead of a potato masher is slim, I would say.
So I'm going to move them over here because the light
good.
is slightly better.
That's
There we go. And we're just going to mash them as much as we can. So we want to know that they are kidney beans. So there's not just going to be like a plain white mush.
Okay.
That's the toast toasted.
Very good.
My toaster is not the most powerful, and my bread is very dense. So I'm actually going to pop it back on again.
Okay.
Just for another couple of minutes. So just sticking that on again. But again,
are you aiming for quite well done toast, or
not
just drying
really.
out the bread? Really?
Drying out the bread, because with it being quite a dense one, it's quite wet.
Yes.
So just drying out the bread, basically. So we're mashing and mashing. If you're stronger than me, it might not take you so long. But you can see that we've got this kind of lighter mushiness coming out, but you can still see, you know, the shells of the beans. You know they're kidney beans.
That's breaking your kitchen.
I invite you in. Okay, so we have mashed the beans.
Nice.
If you have any like pesky little bits of bean that do not want to mash, or they've remained, you know, too large, like it's too obvious that they're beans. Like this guy here, you can get the little stray ones with a fork.
They're not going to escape that easy.
No. So just get those down, push them down.
Lovely. Looks a bit like cat food right now. If yours looks like cat food, you're doing it right.
You're doing it right. I'm going to keep the fork in there because we're going to use this again in a second.
Okay.
I like to, because I'm such a messy cook, be prepared with ways to be clean, because we are going to be getting our hands dirty all up in the beans later. And obviously,
the balls, so it's all right.
not yet. And we're going to be using quite a lot of equipment as well. So I just like to, near the beginning, have a bit of soapy water in the basin, just so I'm good to go. And we'll turn our attention back to the beans. So this is the basis of the bean balls. We'll add our other ingredients in, which hopefully you have already. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Tablespoons, I think, trip a lot of people up. The tablespoon I like to use when spooning is this one up here. It's a nice big one.
Yeah.
But technically a tablespoon is 15 mils. So I have this shot glass here and I filled it up to 30 mils. So I'm gonna pour that in there on the beans. Done with this, stick it in the soapy water. I'm gonna also add the same amount. So again, 30 mils or 2 tablespoons of, ooh, that's a good sound. Of tomato puree or tomato paste or steak sauce, whatever kind of just concentrated tomatoey goodness. We're then going to add our herbs. So for this, we're going for roughly a 1/4 teaspoon of thyme. Teaspoons also in varying sizes. I tend to err on the side of over seasoning because I quite like intense flavors.
Yeah.
This is how much I'm going for. Whether or not that is actually a technical 1/4 teaspoon, who knows?
I think it looks pretty good.
In it goes. And then we want twice that amount of oregano. Yeah, see, this is like a full teaspoon.
That's okay. I don't think you can really overherb.
Yeah, more oregano than thyme, please. And put that back. Gonna put in also our breadcrumbs. So we have our toast all toasted. And what we want to do with that is tear it up. I'm going to blend it with the hand blender. Hopefully you have one. Just a stick blender that you can pulse with is enough. Like if you're making soup or something, the one you would use for that. You can also use like a smoothie maker or something. If you have a food processor, you could use that. We have this really great hand blender, but it doesn't have to be anything super fancy.
And if people are using pre-bought breadcrumbs, what's the quantity of that? I mean, they'll know.
Yeah, it's about 120 grams, thereabouts. So for me, it's kind of, because we slice our own bread, it's like one fat slice. And a bit.
And a little bit.
And a little bit.
Living in Germany, bread is a really big thing. Germans really love their bread. And I was in a bakery the other day and someone was actually ordering bread the way you might order meat at a butcher's. He was like, I'll take 100 grams of that one, please.
Oh, really?
And 300 grams of that one. I was at a loss as to what he was planning to do with these very specific chunks
very
of bread.
specific.
But yeah.
This
Right,
is going to be loud.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know if there's actually that much to see, but we're just going to blend this up until it's all kind of crummy. Ooh,
Oh, that was a good one.
I'm done. All right.
Look at what
So we've got
texture we've got
some
there.
breadcrumbs there.
Nice. So we've got some chunks. That doesn't Really matter? They can be chunky?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this blade out. Pay attention to where you put your blade so you don't accidentally stab yourself later.
Good advice.
And we're going to add the breadcrumbs into our kind of bean mixture. In they go. Mine are quite, because we just toasted the bread right now, it's still warm. Ideally, you don't want the breadcrumbs to be super hot. But honestly, I haven't seen it making that much of a difference.
No, I can't imagine.
Gonna grab some flour from where I put it and totally didn't forget.
Such a good flour jar.
It is pretty good. And I'm gonna go for, it's supposed to be 50 grams of flour, which I actually don't know how much that is. I do have scales, so I'll just double check, because also for myself it would be interesting to know. I don't always use the flour when making these, but today I thought, why not? I feel like it's going to be a tablespoon, but we'll see. So the tablespoon is 50 grams. You want the same amount. Okay, so kind of 2 of these roughly of flour added into here.
2 heaped tablespoons then, was that?
Or 1 heaped and 1 level, I would say. But this is a very big tablespoon, so again, up to you guys. So in here we have the beans, we have the breadcrumbs, we have the flour, we have oregano, thyme, we've got the soy sauce, we've got the tomato paste, and now we're going to add the lemon zest.
Nice.
This is also something that I don't do very precisely. I'm doing this with a grater. I got these graters from my granny years ago, and they're so good. Got 3 different ones, and I like, just moving the food rather than the grater.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's probably something telling.
It's all part of the haptic quality of cooking.
Ooh, the haptic quality of cooking. I like
right.
that. There's always going to be a bit stuck to the back of your grater, so you can unstick that with your finger. And yeah, it's roughly a 1/4 teaspoon, I would say. And we're done with the lemon.
How much of the lemon do you think that used up?
Not very much. If you want to look, it's just like a little bit balded.
So good. I love the smell of lemon zest.
Me too.
Although now it makes me think that we're baking.
Not yet. What I'm going to do now before we form the balls is switch all my pans on. You can make bean balls just like you can meatballs in the oven, but I prefer personally to fry them. I like the texture that it gives you on the outside, and I also like being able to see what's going on and what I'm doing. So I find with baking, everything's very precise, and as long as you've measured everything correctly and put it in on the right temperature, you don't need to be checking it. But for all of these things we're going to make, I think it's better to have an eye on it.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it all on the hob. Filling up this pot with water for the pasta. You can obviously boil the kettle and do it that way if you want. This is just my preference.
That is a very good sized pan for spaghetti.
I have a bigger one, but I thought it would be obnoxious.
Thought it'd be showing off a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So fill this all the way up to the top. Push this off, lid on, and this will just be getting up to boiling temperature in the background while we continue on with the rest of our bits. We have this pan heating up. This is where we're going to be making the bean balls. And this back pan, which we also want to be getting heated up, not to 6, to 4. These two are on 4 on my cooker, which is, there's 6. So it's
medium high.
Medium high.
Yeah.
Medium high. And then this guy is on 6 at the back here.
Yeah.
This is where we'll make our sauce, and this is for our balls.
So you've got a casserole dish on there for your sauce, which is lovely, but not necessary, right? People
No,
could
you can just use a pan.
A regular pan, regular saucepan. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's absolutely fine. Give your hands a quick wash because you're about to get them all up in the food. And we're going to be, first of all, combining all of these bits for your balls, and then we're going to get our hands in there to form them. So in the cookbook, where I got this beanball recipe from, they suggest using this thing called vital wheat gluten, which is kind of like a concentrated gluten flour situation. That's quite hard to find, but flour should actually, you know, serve that purpose of kind of binding the ball and keeping it together. Yeah, I often sometimes just do it without the flour as well, but fancied experimenting today with it.
So when was it that you first cooked
Oh,
this
sorry,
dish?
olive oil.
Oh.
There was going to be something. Is there olive oil in this?
In with the mixture.
I feel like there is, but now I'm not sure.
Do you want to check?
I do want to
It's
check.
totally fine. Another chance to look at the lovely book.
Olive oil. What do you think? What would you guess? Do you think it's in there or no?
I think no. I'm going to go with no. To me, that would seem like an odd addition to the mixture.
You are incorrect.
Oh, well, what do I know?
Oh, so there is olive oil in there. The same amount actually as the tomato paste and the soy sauce.
Okay.
So again, about 30 mils or 2 tablespoons. And this will also help stick everything together a bit more.
Interesting.
So we continue with the mashing. I think I've also...
Yeah, so when did you first make this? Can you remember?
This year.
Okay.
I've done quite a bit of cooking this year. I've also forgotten the garlic, sorry. Let's just quickly... Yeah, sorry. There's also garlic in here.
It's okay because it means no one else is forgetting anything because we're all following you. So
Yes.
as long as it makes it in there
Eventually, at some
then
point.
it's totally fine.
So for this, you should have 6 cloves of garlic all in. 2 of those are going to go in the bean balls. So going to prepare those just now.
Now you have a garlic press out here, I see,
I
which
do.
not everyone is going to have. A tip of mine would be to use the same sort of small grater that you just used to zest the lemon.
Oh, nice.
To do the garlic, because that is what I tend to do when garlic requires pressing, because I don't have a press either. Or you could pause here and chop it really fine if that's your jam.
You can probably chop it really fine in the time it takes me to peel the cloves.
Yeah. Let's have a race. Actually, no, that sounds like a dangerous
Yeah,
idea.
let's definitely not do
Let's
that.
not do that.
Yeah, there's, if you find that you cannot get the paper off your cloves, one thing that I find quite helpful is actually if you wet your fingers and also the cloves. It helps you get stuff off, but it also means that the paper is less likely to stick to your fingers after.
That's a handy tip.
Yeah, so you can obviously like smash them down as well, and that helps. Just like press them down with the flat of the knife.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to stick them in the garlic press, which I really don't want to do on camera because I don't have that much strength up here. And
You're gonna be
it's
bested
always
by
a little
photos.
bit,
Well,
yeah,
that looks like
if I
a piece
do-
of cake.
if I do one at a time.
Yeah. You don't want to overstuff your press.
No.
That's the thing.
That's what they say.
looks really satisfying, actually.
And then you want to get the excess off because there's always some stuck there.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it remains. And we are going to use this again for the rest of the garlic, so I'm just going to put it back next to the stuff. Now I'm fairly confident that everything that needs to be in there is in there. I'm going to put some salt and pepper in because they're kind of fundamental for anything. Generally, for me, I do 5 twists of salt and 10 twists of pepper. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
Amazing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think that sounds pretty much what I would do as well, actually.
Yeah.
I'd say I've ever counted, but I think that would be roughly it.
There's no reason. Like, I find that when you're cooking, they're saying, you know, a pinch of this or however many grams or whatever, but I find that you always want a bit more pepper than
Absolutely.
salt.
I'm a bit of a pepper fiend.
Me too. Me too. So we're getting a slightly more combined kind of situation over here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to fully combine until you get your fingers in there.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this bit. Now it looks a bit like corned beef.
But it's vegan.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of scooping it with our fingers up into a ball. Just kind of, I don't know, like if you're making a dough or something, it's like quite a similar kind of thing that we're doing. We're cooking for 2 just now. Mm-hmm. But with some of the seasoning, I've kind of gone for what you would use for 4, because as I say, I'm an over seasoner.
But if you are cooking for 4, we should say you'll want to have 2 frying pans on the hob heating up for the bean balls at this point. Because they won't all fit in one, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Depending on the size of your pan, of course. Mm-hmm. So we have this here. Gonna give my hands a quick rinse, and then we're gonna form the individual bean balls. And just pop them on a plate. Okay, so we want to make roughly 4 balls per person. So 8 in total. So I'm going to take this in half and I'm going to make 4 balls out of this. So just half it and then half it again. And then we're just kind of rolling it around.
Such good sounds.
Very moist.
Moist balls. That's what we've got right now.
Yeah, and just rolling them into a ball just like you would with Play-Doh or something edible.
I used to eat my Play-Doh, so it applies.
Either way.
My stomach's actually starting to rumble.
Well, good. So we're just halving and halving.
Yeah.
Again and again.
So how have you found your journey into veganism so far? Has it changed your cooking habits much?
It's changed my life. No, it has. It absolutely has. I think like most people this year, we've got more time to cook because we have more time at home.
Nice little plug of the channel name there. Thanks very much.
Yeah, more time to cook. That could be the like little spin-off.
Yeah.
What you do with the leftovers or something. We have more time. So one of the things I think people find off-putting when I told my grandma, for example, different grandma, not the one who got me the grater, that I was going to be, that I was eating vegan, her immediate response was that's going to make you very difficult to cook for, which is quite funny.
It's a very good grandma response.
Yeah, totally. And I think, I don't know, it's encouraged me to be a bit more creative with my cooking. Also focusing more on different spices, using more kind of citrus and stuff like this, and not just relying too heavily on salt and pepper, especially salt, because a lot of us do that. Putting some olive oil in here for the balls. I'm just going to give that a minute to heat up. Also going to put some in here ready for the sauce.
Nice. So this is just a good
generous glug of olive oil. There should actually be a bit more in this one because we're going to be frying. Pop this over here because it is unnecessary. And while these are heating up, I'm going to mince the rest of this garlic. Could have done it before.
This is now prepping for the sauce, is that right?
This is prepping for the sauce. Nice. So the sauce takes roughly 15 minutes to cook, and the balls take about half an hour. But halfway through the ball cooking process, we add the sauce. So it's kind of a good way to keep track of the time, I find. I was going to put all this up in advance because I'm a horrible chopper. I was going to say a horrible chopper. We've got chopper, we've got... I'll stop. But I live with somebody who used to cook professionally, and I see him always wince when I am preparing food. So
wince? That's quite a strong reaction.
It is quite a strong reaction, but I also am like a very haphazard kind of cook. I don't protect my fingers all the time. I got this knife from him actually as a very romantic gift.
I mean, good knives has been very much a theme at the moment
on
this channel.
They're
so good.
Such a game changer.
Yeah.
Get a good knife, it'll save your life.
Very nice.
If anyone is needing someone to sell knives, I am available. Can do your copy.
So he got you a fantastically sharp knife, knowing that you don't really protect your fingers when chopping. Has it led to any accidents yet?
No. It's a really good knife. I feel like when you have
not the first time.
Oh my God, imagine. I feel like you have a lot less accidents with a sharper knife, because it's when you are, really pushing.
This is true. So we
the
are
accidents
mincing
happen.
The garlic into the
burning oil
pan at the back.
Yeah, I'm going to take this off because I've left this on slightly too long, so it's getting a little bit overheated. And I'll just mince these straight into here. They're in there, you can hear them.
You can hear them sizzling away. Ooh, yeah. This is 2 cloves going in here.
This is actually 4.
Ah, okay.
A whole load of cloves going in here.
That's good. That means garlicky sauce.
Yeah, if ever you get the option of 2 to 3 cloves of garlic or 4 to 5, always go for the higher number. Cook like you love yourself. And garlic is a big part of that.
Cook like you love garlic, because surely you do.
So you can see with the heat on this, it's cooking up really quickly. So you want to, as quickly as you can, add the tomato to stop the threat of burning. So we're going 1 tin of tomato. Just to calm things down a bit.
Yeah, if your garlic was not sizzling as frantically, then you could let it soften for a little bit longer, but this is looking good.
And then this in here as well. Got some oil things happening over in the bean pan as well. And I can already tell, I can hear and I can see that it's getting very hot over there. So I'm going to be very, very careful when putting the balls in there. So I've actually taken the pan off the heat while I'm kind of up in there.
Yeah.
And hopefully I do not burn myself just now.
Let's hope not.
Can we start again? Could you?
Nope, it's going on. Oh, that's perfect.
Make sure they're actually in the oil and not just next to the oil. That can happen. Okay, so we have our balls in the pan.
Balls are in the pan.
Balls are in the pan. It's all going down. Rinsing my fingers again. And then what I'm going to do, because although they're balls, I don't want them to be completely round. I want to smush them down just the tiniest bit. So there's a bit more, I don't know, surface area or something.
Is that because they get a nice kind of crispy outside and you
They
like to
do.
capitalize on that? That sounds good.
Yeah. So these are going to cook for about 15 minutes and we're just going to flip them over kind of here and there as we go along.
Perfect. And the sauce
So
is
the
back on the heat?
sauce is back on the heat. So in there so far we have the garlic that fried up in the oil. We have 2 tins of the tomatoes and now we're going to add our herbs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same as we had for the balls, so it all kind of complements quite nicely. So oregano, teaspoon, and thyme, kind of like a 2/3, 3/4 situation. And then the old 5 and 10. So pepper is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm not going to be able to not do this.
7,
It's gonna be
8,
really stuck in
9,
my head.
10. And 5 salt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like just a lot more salt comes out as well, so it's probably the same amount.
Of your particular salt grinder.
Yeah.
They're nice little grinders you got there.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So this is just like a super, super basic marinara sauce. And this you can use as a base for like anything. It's just like a simple tomatoey pasta sauce. If you like, you can add chili in there while you've got the garlic frying up. You could also, if you like it a little bit sweeter, you could put balsamic in there as well. It's quite a nice touch. But as just a simple, cannot go wrong tomato sauce for pasta, this is great.
Amazing. I think that's a staple everyone needs.
Totally, and I've actually made double quantities of this because I feel like you can never have too much tomato sauce. It's a good thing to stick in the fridge and then you can, you know, reheat it another time. You can see our balls are browning.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Gonna flip them over.
Turning them already.
Yeah.
They look amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I first cooked this, going back to a question from ages ago before I remembered all of the missing ingredients. I first cooked it earlier this year and it's really good. So at the moment, while we're filming this, it is so cold in Berlin. It's a really nice weather day, like super clear skies, the sun is out, it's clear and lovely. But it's really, really cold and this is a super kind of warming, comforting dish. It's really, really good. So this is happening. I'm gonna organize this a little bit. I don't know how chaotic your kitchen is at this particular moment in time, but mine's pretty chaotic. So
I always create an awful lot of mess. And actually for a while, my partner and I had a rule of like, whoever cooks, the other person cleans.
Nice.
Afterwards. But that just did not work at all with our cooking styles because he leaves the kitchen after having cooked a massive meal like no one was there. It's incredible.
Okay.
He just
Don't
manages
film
to
the
clean
bin,
up.
please.
Not filming the contents of the
Thank
bin.
you.
So he manages to clean up as he goes, and I just leave things strewn everywhere, on the floor, on the walls, everywhere.
The floor and the
which
wall.
he very sweetly claims, makes my food taste better.
The passion.
The passion behind it. But yeah, it was not a very fair setup to be like, you clean up after me then, and I'll clean up nothing after you. So we've stopped that now.
I'm imagining like some kind of culinary CSI situation where people are coming in, like measuring all of the spatter on the wall.
What happened here, you know?
Yeah, this was a meal of passion.
Where did the spoon touch the pan to create this splashback? We've all watched Staircase, right?
Staircase?
Have you not?
No.
The Netflix.
Oh, I've
crime.
heard about this, but I've not seen it. What do I do with my tongs? Oh yeah, tongs. This, I find these really very useful.
They're a very good set.
And I will say, the last time I made this, I didn't use the flour, and I can notice that this is keeping the balls, you know, more together.
Yeah.
It's actually great. It's really, really good.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
If they do fall apart, it is not a disaster, because you can actually just kind of later like stir it through the spaghetti and have more of a kind of bolognese kind of feel going
Nice,
on.
Yeah.
So if they don't look like this and they are falling apart, do not fret. You'll be absolutely fine.
Very good.
I popped the kettle on to make some tea.
Yes, I'm very excited about this. Georgia has found special tea for... Was it specifically Italian pasta dishes or?
For pasta, there's some, so I don't know if this is an international thing, I don't know how into tea everybody is, but this brand especially, Sonnentor, they tell you, you know, just like you would with wine, what this tea pairs well with, or, you know, what situation you should enjoy the tea. So this one apparently goes very well with bitter salads and pasta dishes.
Oh.
The pasta dish will not be bitter, but with bitter salads.
They seem like quite different things. So
Yeah.
I think to pair well with both. Sauce is bubbling.
So the sauce is getting very hot, it's pretty lively in there, so I'm going to turn it right down to 2.
Do we keep it covered for the entire cooking process?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Because it's cooking quite quickly, I won't put the lid all the way over just to let some of the heat escape.
And you've still got them both on a medium-high heat, the same heat you set them to initially, right?
No, I've just turned this down to 2.
Okay.
Pop this in here. Tea. We don't need this anymore, so I'm gonna put it away.
Yeah, so now might be a good time to make yourself a drink, pour yourself a wine, or make yourself a tea. For me, this is always an important part of cooking, or of having it be a relaxed experience, and not just feel like a chore.
But yeah, it's just such nice tea. There's a lot going on in there. It's called Johanniskraut. Don't know how you want to translate that.
Johanniskraut. I don't know what that is. I forget.
I can imagine it would also be pretty good with red wine.
Some classic Italian flavours in there.
Okay, this feels good. This feels good. Once we've got the tea on, we're gonna add about 1/3 of the sauce into the balls.
Nice.
Gonna get us some nice teacups.
So pre-corona, how often a week would you say you cooked at home, and how often would you go out to eat? Because obviously Berlin has a lot of very good, very cheap eateries.
Yeah, the vegan offering is super great as well.
Yeah.
In the city, but we have barely eaten out. It's really, I don't know, we both really enjoy cooking. Most eating out, it would be kind of out of convenience because we're not at home, or as a treat, going somewhere special
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But I think food can very much be an event and an occasion at home as well. You don't need to go somewhere else to do that. And I like, you know, putting something together, trying different things. I tend to go by recipes, whereas my partner by now is quite an intuitive cook. As I say, this is the knife giver.
Yes.
As he prefers to be known.
His full title.
But he's quite an intuitive cook, so he can, you know, take inspiration from a recipe or just, you know, open the fridge, see what's in there, and come up with something. So I'm quite fortunate in that regard. And we'll just kind of whip something up out of what we have. So our shopping habits have changed since Corona. And we're shopping kind of generally once a week and sticking to a budget.
Yeah.
Which I also quite enjoy because it then challenges you to see what you can come up with based on how much you're able to spend.
Sometimes restriction can actually breed more creativity.
Yeah, I think so. Or so he, for example, well, both of us will shop at the local market. So we live about a 5-minute walk away from a really great open air produce market. It's on twice a week, and they often have, you know, one item that they're selling loads of, like limes, for example, which we've got 20. We've got a bowl of 25 limes at the moment.
More on the stairs that you're hoping your neighbours might take.
They're actually quite excited about it.
I'm going to take a handful.
So the point being, though, that we'll get all of this one ingredient because it's a really great deal, and then we have to figure out, you know, what are we going to do with this? What can we turn it into?
Yeah.
You're lucky there's no limes in this, actually.
Well,
so
not yet. There's still time.
I'm adding about 1/3 of this sauce to the bean balls now. And this might spit when you put it on, so do be careful. I'd be really interested to know how people are cooking along with this. Like if you watch what's happening and then do it, or if you're doing it at the exact same moment that I am in real time. This sauce, by the way, is now cooked. So I'm just going to put the lid back on. We're not going to be using it for a little while, but just going to make sure that I've turned the heat off. It'll cool down a little bit, but the sauce will stay nice and warm. We've got this in here. It's all gonna stick to the balls there. I should come up with something else. And I'm just gonna kind of mix it around in here, try and get them coated.
Yeah, I think generally people have been cooking along, so doing whatever the cook's doing as they do it, and this led to the useful feedback that, of course, for some people, somewhere where they can set up their video is not the same place that they have in their vision when they're at the stove.
Sure.
So that's why vocal cues are super important, to make sure that people know what's going on at all times, even if they can't see us.
So mine are actually slightly burnt. Very slightly, but
no bad thing.
No, it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
I think it adds just like a bit more texture.
Yeah, a little crispiness.
But it's good. So we've got this on. This is actually taking longer than I expected to heat up, but that's fine. Those of you who are not using the store-bought Parmesan, we're going to make vegan Parmesan. Vegetarian Parmesan, actually, I suppose. Since Parmesan is not.
Yes, that's true.
So for that, I'm going to need to clean out my blender that I used to make the breadcrumbs. There it is. Actually, is that very unprofessional? It's just bread, you know. And it's all going to be in the same dish ultimately.
Exactly.
But I do need to get my blade clean.
So if you are just using regular Parmesan, You might want to grate it up at this point. You might also want to watch and see how vegan parmesan is made, because I, for one, am intrigued about that. And the balls are doing all right?
The balls are doing great. Balls are doing great. Okay, so put in my blade in there. So in here, I've got 100 grams of cashews and 50 grams of almonds. I'm gonna pour that in here. I've then got garlic powder, about a half teaspoon roughly. Sprinkled on there. And then salt. Again, just like, I don't know who is very exact with their salt. I am not an exact salt person.
Well, you're more exact than anyone else I've ever met.
Apart from the 5 and 10. But I don't know what the 5 and 10 actually means, you know. This is the nutritional yeast, which might be new to some people. I'm going to use the good tablespoon because I like the size of it. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a favorite spoon, don't deny it.
Oh, it's very true.
It's like we all have a favorite hob.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Not just me.
I mean, largely because it's usually the one that works best.
Yeah. So, nutritional yeast, we're going to have 3 tablespoons of that in here.
Wow, that's a lot of yeast.
It is.
Do you know what it actually is?
It's Hefeflocken, is how it is in German.
Okay.
So like wheat flakes. I don't know why it's so kind of cheesy. But any kind of cheese, substitute cheese, so it doesn't smell good. Cheese sauce or whatever is going to have that as the basis. And this recipe actually is not from the cookbook. This one, there's loads of different variations. Some people will just put the yeast flakes directly on, sprinkle it onto the pasta. And it's the yeast flakes that give you the cheesy flavor, but on their own, they really don't kind of emulate the texture.
Yeah.
So that's what the nuts are for.
Right.
And then salt, because
salt. We have just turned the balls again, just to let you know.
Yeah, you probably don't need to do them as often. I'm just slightly worried that they might be getting a bit too burny.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna blend these up with the hand blender.
Mm-hmm.
Brace yourself. Done. But yeah, this particular recipe for the fake parmesan is from a great wee blog called Zucker und Jagdwurst, which translates to sugar and hunter's sausage, which is a weird name for anything, but especially I think a vegan food blog. But that was deliberate. Apparently it's all their humour.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, it's doing really well, this blog actually. They started it, it's 2 women who used to work for Mitvergnügen, which is this online platform quite specific to Berlin. They bonded over this love of food and decided to turn it into this blog, and I think now they've managed to quit their jobs and make a living from it. So this is theirs. They have so many amazing recipes on there, and that's, I don't know if you want to get a look at that, we'll see it later.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it looks like nuts, because it's nuts.
It does.
But also a nice little kind of protein injection there as well.
Like a nice topping though. Oh, it's the tea. The tea? Is the tea ready?
The
Just
tea, the tea is ready. I mean, maybe a couple more minutes, but what we're going to do is put the spaghetti on.
Water is boiling.
So the water is boiling. Just been doing that in the background. Now I'm going to add a bit of salt to that. Some people put their salt in at the beginning, before the water is hot. I prefer to do it now.
I think as long as it's in before the pasta goes in, then all is good. Now that was obviously a lot more salt than your usual 5.
Salty is the sea.
Water.
Salty
Yes.
is the sea.
Did I teach you that?
Don't think so.
Oh, right. That's weird because I taught Taylor that.
Yeah, it should be as salty, if not saltier than the sea,
That's
is what I
correct.
was told.
Yeah.
And again, as we said before, you know yourself. You know yourself with the spaghetti.
You know what you want.
Put in as much as you want for 2 people. I'm gonna put in. I'm very hungry, so this is gonna be 1 person.
I think that looks
I also have
like a
quite
decent portion.
small hands, so that's 1 person. And 2 people. Whoops. That is like another 2 people. And pop that in there. So check your pasta cooking instructions because they vary a lot depending on what pasta you're using. This one suggests 8 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna cook it for probably then about 7. I'll check it after about 6 minutes. Not that I have any idea what time it is,
I got you.
but in
Tell
about
you when
6
it's been
minutes,
6 minutes.
let me know. Would you like some tea?
Yes, please.
Pour you a wee cup of tea.
I am excited about the tea. Also excited about these balls.
You're not the first. So this is looking exactly as it should, I would say. You want to try and get all sides covered, but it's going to cook through anyway. So you're kind of fine. And because it's beans and not meat, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If it's not cooked all the way through, there's not really a concern on that front. So I'm just going to get my plates ready. Here they are, they don't match. Plates, something for getting this out. I like to put the fake parmesan in a bowl. I feel like it, I don't know, it's like a nice little treat.
Yeah.
And put this spaghetti away. I actually do this when I'm not I'm just like chatting away about everything I'm doing
Like your print,
when
where's
I'm on
that
my
from?
own. Sorry?
Where's your print from?
This is actually designed by a guy called Sergio Membrias. You can see his name on here. He did this one up here as well. And these posters were for the OK Cafe. I don't know if you've been there. It's in Neukölln.
Okay.
Really nice wee
Okay.
cafe.
Yeah.
And they do, what do? They do these really great apple danishes.
Ooh.
Really, really good. Really good brunch spot if you're in Berlin. What else do they do? Everything is great. I've not been there for ages. But yeah, so it was for them. Sergio Membrias, he's a really great graphic designer who happened to live in this flat
No way.
many years ago. Yeah,
This very flat, not even just the builder.
this very, very flat.
Wow.
So his room is what is now our room.
Huh.
But yeah, he's a good friend of my partner. And
That makes more sense, and that's
Yeah.
why he lived in this
Yeah.
flat rather than just a random coincidence.
yeah, no, he's a good guy. And this is like his quite early work, but he's done stuff for all kinds of big publications, even Apple. Yeah, I really
Nice.
like his stuff. And this is, yeah, I say
That's
early
great.
Sergio. How are we doing on the 6-minute front?
We've got 3 more minutes.
Wow.
Although I don't think the water's been boiling for all that time. It took a while to get back back to a bubble after we put the pasta in, so it might need a little bit longer than that.
Good point. How long have we been going all in, may I ask? Do you know?
54 minutes. The
Okay.
balls have been in for... They went in at past, so basically 25 minutes.
Okay,
So pretty bang on time.
awesome. What we're gonna do eventually, once this is ready, this being the spaghetti, is assemble. And to assemble, we're gonna drain the pasta into the sink not into the sink. We'll drain the water into the sink. Just
Pour the
chuck
pasta in the sink and be
pasta.
done with it.
Yeah, so we'll drain the water into the sink. We'll keep the pasta in the pan so it retains like a little bit of the pasta water, but not too much. And we're going to put the sauce into the pasta pan. We'll then plate that up.
So you
We'll
might
put
want to
the
set up
balls
a
on top.
colander in the sink for draining the pasta if you're using that or such like.
Yeah. I'm just going to use a sieve and keep the pasta in the pan. So I like to put the sieve on top and just tip the water out. Can I wash the dishes or just move them?
You can totally, yes, absolutely.
I don't want to. I'll do
Probably
this.
what others will want to do as well. I might pick
Wash
up that
your dishes.
cup of tea though.
Oh yeah,
Rather than
grab your tea.
so much.
I'm just clearing some space at my sink.
So tell us a little bit about how you learned to cook. Can you remember when that was?
Oof. Can I remember when that was? I don't know if I can. I remember cooking a lot as a teenager. Get into family stuff. So my dad and my stepmom like to cook. My dad likes to cook savory food. My stepmom is she's a good cook, but she's a really good baker. My mom loves to cook as well, but I've got more experience of my dad's cooking. But as a teenager, I was kind of encouraged to cook a lot and experiment, and I used to cook a lot of Nigel Slater recipes.
Yeah. I remember that name.
His stuff is so good.
Yeah.
There was a few dishes of his, particularly this chicken dish that I used to cook all of the time. Because I would often be home, from school before my parents were. They would, if I found a recipe that I wanted to cook, could let them know and they would go and get me all the things.
Nice.
But I'm a fan of quite simple cooking that focuses on the ingredients. So this is quite elaborate for me, but it's actually not that much stuff going on. But focusing on the flavors more than the techniques, in case that wasn't apparent.
I think the technique's been pretty perfect.
But
so that is 6 minutes, but I'm imagining we're going to need to go for a bit longer than that.
We'll give it a little test. But yeah, also stuff from The Observer. I really like their recipes, largely because Nigel Slater does a lot of them.
Okay, we're a big Nigel Slater fan.
Yeah. Also, Nigella Lawson.
All the Nigels and Nigellas.
Yeah. But not that guy that we mentioned at the beginning. Not him. I'm just going to taste it with my mouth. It's like, what will I do? There's
George recommends tasting things with your mouth and not with any other body part.
And it's still quite hard, so I'll give it another 2 minutes before I check it again.
Perfect.
I'm
excited.
But in terms of being taught, definitely there was baking and cake making with my granny, the one who gave me the grater. And my aunt actually also used to cook professionally. But yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. I remember doing home economics at school.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they still do that.
I hope not. That was a waste of everyone's time.
What we should have done was learn, budgeting and finances and stuff like that.
Not how to make several hundred desserts that we'll never make again.
Coleslaw.
You learned how to make coleslaw?
We learned how to make coleslaw. We did a class on coleslaw. We made pencil cases because we did sewing as well.
Heck?
Yeah. It wasn't just cooking.
Oh, that was a different class for us.
Yeah. Oh.
Pencil case and coleslaw, then you put the coleslaw in the pencil case.
It's super transportable. Yeah. We didn't call them pencil cases.
Coleslaw cases.
Of course.
Never really come back to the boil that time.
It really has not.
No.
Maybe I'll pop the lid back on.
Oddly.
I thought I did it quite normally.
Very good.
Thank you.
I just
So
took a taste of this tea and it is very nice.
it is nice, isn't it?
I should remember
Got
what
some
Johanna's part was.
coffee. Yeah, I have not a clue. Like Johannisbeeren, is it the same?
There's a lot of Johanna's getting involved with German food, isn't there?
That's true. That is the truth. I'm going to take the balls off the heat for now, because basically we're now just waiting for the pasta.
Do you know what? That is bang on half an hour to the minute that you took them off the heat. You have an incredible internal clock.
Who knew? This is quite a horrible lighting situation for a romantic meal.
Oh, it's romantic. Oh my goodness, I need to get into a whole different mindset.
Well, it's not yet,
Yeah.
but it will be.
Show people your wonderful labelling.
Don't look too closely, I'm sure some of it is incorrect.
It's beautiful. Beautiful, and beautiful plants too.
So like a lot of people this year, we do have more time on our hands.
A little bit more, yeah.
For the labelling and all this kind of stuff. I like this idea. I feel like if you're neat and tidy about it, you can totally ask the person that you've cooked for to do the dishes, right?
Oh, definitely. Is this you asking me to do the dishes?
I mean, if you want to do the dishes, you can do the dishes. And now what I'm doing is, because I don't know what to do, I'm just moving things around. That's what I'm doing.
If you would like to move things around like Georgia, here's what she's done with the place.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty great.
I'm going to put some of these things back. I don't know what I did with the lid for this. Or this. Oh, I hid them away in places.
Let's also take a moment to admire your wonderful array of knives on this knife. Is this all about her?
No, I have knives. I've got knives like you ain't never seen. These knives are mine.
Yeah, that was my guess. Only because they're clearly not part of the set. They look like great knives.
And the best knife. This is everyone's favourite knife, apart from the bread knife, because you really can't, replace that.
No, that's true.
But it is the best knife, I have to say. Okay, let's see what our spaghetti is doing. Do we think it's ready?
We've kind of poached it, I feel.
Poached spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's the new thing. Ooh, I think it is good.
I think it's good.
Tasting it with my
I
mouth.
like a little al dente.
Perfect.
Nice.
So you've got like a bit of resistance, so it's a little bit chewy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely cooked. And we're gonna drain it. This is the exciting part, because this is where everything comes together. So you've had all these different things going on. Maybe you've made or grated the parmesan, and we're gonna assemble, we're gonna build in just a minute.
What are we going to build it into?
A swan.
That's what I'm going to do. I would like to see you invent that. This thing can't deal with the heat of that water.
All right, so as I said earlier, you may remember, I've made extra sauce. So it's up to you if you want to get super saucy or if you want to keep some of it to use at a later date, maybe tomorrow. That's one of the later dates.
There are a number of later dates available. You can take your pick.
There are other later dates available. So yeah, it's up to you. I've still got,
Thank goodness for gimbals, so this would be all over the place.
I've got a stitch. Okay, so it's up to you whether you want to add all of the sauce or just some of it. Because you could save maybe a spoonful or two.
Yeah.
For making pasta another time.
Ooh.
Or putting on other things.
You want it saucy.
I want it saucy. I like it saucy. And yeah. Whoops. I'm wedged in a bit there. And so I'm just kind of stirring this up a little bit. I'm going to keep it on this hob that's hot, but not on.
Yeah.
Is that confusing? So the hob is not switched on, but it's still got the residual heat.
Of course, that will only be a thing for people with electric stovetops. But,
Oh yeah. I think this is the first time that I've had an electric one and not a gas, now that I think about it.
That's very
In all my years.
Yeah.
So basically just keeping it on there until the water is all gone.
Because you kept a little bit of the pasta water.
Kept
in
a
there,
little
didn't
tiny bit in, but you don't have to. It's largely because I couldn't get it all out. But some people do it as like a conscious choice.
It has starch to it. It helps thicken sauces.
Yeah. So we've got our plates ready. We've got this stuff.
I'm gonna look romantic.
Well, not with this lighting. You need to get some mood lighting on the go.
Get some candles on
next time.
Yeah.
What is the best way to do that? I'm going to do it on the table. Actually, I think it'd probably look a little bit nicer. What do I do with the tongs? Give these a bit of a rinse off. Something's whistling.
Yeah, what's that?
I think it's the pasta. You have to pay extra for the whistles, you know.
You're going in for a proper clean.
Yeah.
Oh, we do have some fresh thyme on top.
Oh yeah, that's an optional
It's
extra
an optional
if you
add-on,
wish.
or any fresh herb of your choice would be nice.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the pasta, pop that onto the plates, and then we're gonna add the meatballs, the bean balls on top. Leave you behind. Just realize everybody's gonna get like a front row seat to all the ways in which I speak to myself.
That's what they're here for, I hope.
But you shouldn't be sitting, you should be cooking.
Yeah, right?
It's time to cook.
Who's just sitting and watching this? Apart from my mum.
It's probably some
She
people.
did when I asked her for feedback. She didn't quite understand.
Okay. So we're gonna, you can use a pasta spoon if you have one. I'm a big fan of the tongs.
Oh yeah.
Multi-purpose.
Beautiful.
One. Should we be doing more audio cues? I don't know.
I think,
Put the pasta in the plate.
frankly, by this point, if people don't know what they're doing, something's gone wrong.
Keep stacking the pasta on there. Okay, so the spaghetti is in. Now it's time to add our bean balls.
Bring on the balls.
One lump or two? Well, it's actually 3 or 4. 3? 4?
3 or 4?
Yeah.
Gosh, that feels like quite a lot now. They're quite big, aren't they?
They are.
I'll definitely just go for 3 for now.
Oops.
I'm sure Boucher would like to get fed too.
Nah.
Beautiful. Oh, very hungry now.
Good, because there's a lot of eating in these actually. They're pretty
That's a
filling.
lot of eating. That's a good phrase.
Is that not a thing?
I don't know. I know what you mean, and that's all that matters with a good phrase, I guess.
So what I'm going to do is, yeah, this one, it will be mine, so it's fine for me to touch it. Also, my hands are clean anyway. You've seen where my hands have been. So yeah, there we go. That is that. We're going to take this off because it seems to, no, it's not. It's just want some attention. Mm-hmm. And we'll put a bit of here.
It's just like you're putting cereal on the top.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? It sounds like it as well.
Put a bit of muesli on. More yeast for me, please.
And always finish off with a bit of pepper.
Oh yeah.
And just like that. Yes, there is. There we go. I really want to fix this. It looks so unkempt.
We'll focus on yours.
Yeah, focus on this one. Look at this, and you've got your
amazing,
lovely cup of tea.
Incredible. Well,
Move
we
all
are
these
going to
things
sit down.
away.
I've got to get in a romantic frame of mind.
You do.
I hope you've had fun cooking along. Let us know how it turns out. Thank you so much, Georgia, once again, for being our guide through this culinary experience. And yeah, see you next week, guys. Bye.
Guten Appetit.
Guten Appetit. Bye bye.